Hi, for today's lesson, we're going to be looking at 2D shapes. 2D shapes are shapes that have two dimensions, such as width and height. Let's take a look at some of the 2D shapes and their properties. The first one we have here is our triangles. We have different types of triangles. We have an equilateral triangle where all the angles are equal, all the sides are equal, and each angle is equal to 60 degrees. We have an isosceles triangle where two sides are equal and two angles are equal. We have a right angle where one of the angle is equal to 90 degrees. Then we have a scaling where all the sides may have different lengths and all the angles may be different. One thing that I will mention here is that all the angles of a triangle must add up to 180. Let's take a look at the parallelogram. The first property says opposite sides are equal. Here they wanted to say opposite sides are parallel, opposite angles are equal, and diagonal will bisect each other, meaning cut in half. For our rectangle, we have opposite sides are equal, opposite sides are parallel, angles are 90 degrees, diagonals are equal, and diagonals bisect each other. We will see here that some of the properties of the parallelogram can be seen in the rectangle, such as opposite sides are equal, parallel sides are opposite sides are parallel, that's another one, and here all the angles are 90 degrees. So this also falls in with the fact that opposite sides are equal because all of them are equal. And the last one says diagonals bisect each other, diagonals bisect each other. So we can see how a parallelogram is a rectangle, but a rectangle is not a parallelogram. It's not always a parallelogram, right? Okay, let's move on to the square. Square, all sides are equal, opposite sides are parallel, angles are 90, diagonals are equal. Diagonals bisect each other. Diagonals bisect each other at a right angle, and diagonals bisect the interior angles. Right. So with these properties, we see properties from the rectangle repeating itself in the square, but the square now has special other aspects. So we can see how all rectangles are squares, but not all squares are rectangles. Let's go on. We have here the rhombus, where all sides are equal, opposite sides are parallel to each other, opposite angles are equal, diagonals bisect each other. At right angle, diagonals bisect the interior angles, diagonals are equal, and diagonals bisect each other. So we can see that the properties of the square is similar to the properties of your rhombus. So let's see which ones. So equal sides, right? Opposites. And we have opposite angles are equal. Here we are already told that all the angles are 90 degrees. So that falls into that. Diagonals are equal. Diagonals are equal. Diagonals bisect each other. Diagonals bisect each other. Diagonals bisect each other at right angle. Diagonals bisect each other at right angle. Diagonals bisect the interior. Diagonals bisect the interior. Sorry, I'm going to do this for bisect each other. So we can see how all squares are rhombus and not all rhombuses are squares, because we don't have that 90-degree there. We have a trapezium where one pair of opposite sides are parallel. We have a kite that has two pairs of adjacent sides that are equal. Opposite angles between unequal sides are equal. One diagonal of the kite bisects the other at 90 degrees. One diagonal bisects the interior angles, and we can clearly see them on the page. Let's try out these questions here. Name each of the following shapes based on these descriptions. 4 equal sides and an opposite angles equal. So this would fit in your rhombus and your square. Triangles with 3 angles equal, that's going to be your equilateral triangle. Quadrilateral with opposite sides equal and all angles equal to 90, this will fit in a rectangle. Quadrilateral with opposite sides that are parallel, this would fit in a parallelogram, a rectangle, a square, or a rhombus. Quadrilateral with adjacent side and our sides are equal and opposite angles, adjacent sides be equal and opposite angles, I believe the opposite angles should also be equal. I would think, I'm not quite sure here, opposite with adjacents equal and opposite angles. That doesn't make any sense. We'll leave that out for now. A triangle with 2 equal sides, that's going to be your isosceles triangle. A triangle with 3 different angles, that's going to be your scalene triangle. And the quadrilateral with 1 set of sides parallel is your trapezium.